from upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating, which it calls the IDR, from restricted default, RD, to B-. What does that mean? Now, it also says that Ghana's economy has a stable outlook. Now, we have heard people say it signals growing investor confidence in Ghana's economic recovery under this government. But the critical question we ought to ask is, how do we sustain the gains? How do we sustain the momentum? How do we hold up? How do we hold up this achievement that we have chalked as a people? Already we've heard the Finance Minister, Dr. Castle Otto-Forson, welcoming the news, but also says this is just the beginning. The beginning of what? We'll look at all of that on the show today. But also, we'll do some hardcore politics. Who leads the new patriotic party into the 2028 elections? Is it Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Is it Ken Agyapong? Is it Dr. Brian Champong? Is it Kwabena Agyapong? Is it, what's the name of this chap who has been contesting since 2008? Adainimo, that's the chap whose name I nearly forgot. Or who is that person who is going to lead the MPP into the 2028 elections? But it appears that a roadmap has already been developed, and the journey has begun. The party this week sat in Alisa Hotel and came up with some far-reaching decisions as to when and how the party is going to elect its next leader. They have declared, or they've settled on, 31st January 2026. The NPP by then should have who is going to lead it. But ahead of that, we've seen Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia host about 60 NPs somewhere. I believe it is his home, where they declared their unflinching, unalloyed support to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and they're saying that they say no bagawaya. He's the most marketed, they argue. So he's the man. But on that same day, we also saw the Akompreku himself, the former MP for Asin Central, a businessman, Mr. Kennedy Agyapong, who also hosted a number of former MMDCEs at a place and treated them to some dinner. It must have been either dinner or lunch, one of them. And he personally went around serving them. Now, he had some comments to make about one decision that was made by the party, which is an early Congress. Early Congress, which is January 31. He said he would have wished it was a bottom-up approach. But the party says we're doing top-to-bottom approach. Elect the flag bearer first, and then we'll elect, going forward, the party officers at the base. So we have a conversation to have on that matter. But who do you think will be the best person to lead the MPP into the 2028 elections? We'll find out here on the Inside Pages. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Bedum tamaso. Hey, J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Makwema besisia. Abozig. Akache say no ya konate and the more drink woman. Hey. But I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old days. Eji. Dabio, baby wom. Ready. Hey, baby wom. Ah, Aji! I'll cause some discomfort. Ah!
Uncle!
Sorry, well, uncle, where would the dad? Why your funeral? At to phone for Aerofield Trading. Sorry, it killed them all.
No mum share landa danya was mosquito call esudu womunumu. Na say spray with them sa. Try sima edronum ansa na akodainumu.
And kratoi FDA ajatum.
Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage, located at the newly proposed Airport City, with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Palm Hills, located at Panfukuro in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Akleku, which is a 15-minute drive from the Ningo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
Crowd goes absolutely emphatic.
Get ready for more on SuperSport, the only place to watch all the FIFA Club.
As a developing country, accessing capital outside the country is good. And when, let's say, our rating was C and even junk, we couldn't access the external financing. So for Fitch to upgrade our rating to B-, I mean, it shows that the sovereign rating of the countries is improving, and our economy as a whole is stabilizing. So I mean, on that side is good, and we have to all be happy about that. But what I would say is that we have to also look back. I mean, what happened and how we manage even the current upgrade. If, let's say, we are upgraded and we can have access to external credit, doesn't mean we should go and borrow. I think we should take it. I mean, something that will help us in terms of our risk. If, let's say, we are going to raise any bond or any debt, we are going to see the interest on it, being low, which is good for the company in terms of the cost of finance. But I would say the government should hasten slowly to leverage this to raise money because I feel as a country we need to slow down on the commercial financing so that at least we can bring down the debt level to a sustainable level. So for me, I think it's good. But if you look at the release from Fitch, you can see that it's largely driven by the restructuring that the previous government started. And I think the current government has done very well to continue the discussion with the external creditors, and they've been able to meet them and agree on the next steps. So as a country, we should be proud that the current government continued what the previous government started, and that shows that as a country, we are also maturing. We're able to negotiate, putting the larger interest of the economy, at the center stage. So it's very good for us. What I will say is that with regards to the liquidity, if we read carefully the release from Fitch, they still raise an issue of liquidity because they say it's one of the constraints for the B- rating. So that means we still have to manage the interest and the revenue. How do we service our interest sustainably compared to how much money we are generating as a country? So that would mean that we need to look at that liquidity carefully to ensure that government is able to maximize tax revenue. And especially if you read what they said, that when they start paying the DDEP from, I think, later this year and even next year, the payment in terms of the interest, it was around 5.4 in 2024. So now we're around 9.1. So that would mean that the government has to pay more in terms of interest, and that will feed into our liquidity buffers. So
the party discussed extensively on the outstanding parliamentary results of Ablekuma North. And as a party, through the direction, a decision by the National Council, we express our dissatisfaction by the conduct of the Ghana Police Service for failing to provide security for the Electoral Commission to conclude the outstanding 3 polling stations at Ablekuma North. The party had earlier on written letter to the Electoral Commission and the Ghana Police Service to explain to us why we have not been able, or they have not been able, to complete the collation of results at Ablekuma North. So for us in the New Patriotic Party, it's a delayed tactics, some gimmicks by the Ghana Police Service, just to prevent the Electoral Commission from going ahead to declare the results. But we are resolute as a political party, and we take every action, legal action, to make sure that the right thing is done, and for the Electoral Commission to complete the collation of results of the Ablekuma North constituency. Again, another item that was discussed both at NEC and National Council had to do with the Patriotic Institute, what we refer to as the party school that we intend to launch on the 25th of June. The committee also spoke about the time for our presidential primaries. And again, the committee agreed that that decision does not warrant amendment of our constitution. But in light of the spirit and letter of Article 13 of the MPP constitution, that power is clothed with National Council to make that decision. And National Council today also made the decision that the date for our presidential primaries is set for January 31st, 2026. That will be the date that we shall hold our presidential primaries. Because there's going to be a proposal or a motion for amendment for our constitution, a committee, or what we refer to as a planning committee, has been put in place by National Council to prepare and also implement directive that has been given to them for us to have a successful delegate conference to amend our constitution.
Asibejafo MPP4 Dresia 16 in the tree and the Aka and one boom Ababesra Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and support Amano na ye ba yenso nkomo akokama pa ebotaya nam so de banese 88 and the parliament and is a moon sister kura etumi abane a ye nim pefe se ye nuanom bia omo atu kwan ebinim kura ehon fa omo anase bibi nti omo antumi anka ho am yama na nka omo nyina mpo ba ya ka be bebre na so sister ne kura etumi ba ye no eye de se nkura kese e kire do overwhelming supporter the rank and file no e de ma Dr. Mahmoud Baumia so no any penny a obedi party nanimu a ye betumi wini election no
2024 election no ye koye no na ebinim si ye frefre ebinim baaye na omo baaye no enye omo peso ena omo baaye enam se ye wa aban mu nti no nti ebinim wa position sa ese o anko support Dr. Baumia e be yiwe free ho se sia ye kasa ye ni aban mu nti obi biara obehu ni wa ha no na che se ne peso ena odi abaha.
I've had a visit from our members of parliament. I think that it was a very happy visit. It was a courtesy call, and it's a call to declare support for me. And I am so happy in terms of the group that have declared support for me from parliament. Now amounts to just over 60 members of parliament. And you know we have 88 members of parliament. And so that tells you that a very significant number of members of parliament have declared their support for me. I just want to use this opportunity to thank all of them. The leader of the group here is Amprechum,
who coordinated this, the MP for Mampong. And I believe that this is going to be very, very important because the members of parliament, as you know, control the constituencies to a large extent. And I'm very, very happy for exactly what they have done today. It's a strong show of support.
All right, so you heard it all. The MPP will be going to the polls on the 31st of January to elect the next flag bearer, who would be, or their standard bearer, who would be going into the fight or the war. I'm using this metaphorically. I'm talking about the 2028 elections to, contest it and to hopefully do a good job in that elections. And that decision, which was made by the National Council, has been met with some sort of mixed reactions by some persons. Some persons agree that it's a good decision. Some say it is not a decision that would inure to the benefits of the party, and so on and so forth. But these things are normal. No decision would receive what we call a unanimous acceptance. There will always be some reservations and so on, but it depends on the reasons that those who disagree are given. For me, that's the most important thing. But anyway, so that's one of the things we intend to look at. And the second issue we intend to look at, which is Ghana's economy has been upgraded from RD to B-. We want to ask ourselves, what does this mean? And what do we need to do with this upgrade? Should we go back into the international capital markets and start borrowing like we're doing some time back? Or would have to hold on and continue with the program that we already have on paper? That's one of the critical questions. And the second critical question should be, how do we sustain this momentum? How do we hold up? That's extremely important. So would try and get to the bottom of all of that. So two topics that we intend to look at on the show this morning. And joining us to look at our first topic, which has to do with what's happening in the camp of the New Patriotic Party as they reform, as they restructure, as they reorganize to build a formidable and a united party going into the 2028 elections. So joining me this morning is one of the hardworking members of parliament, and he is a good friend of mine. That's the Efia constituency MP, the Honorable Isaac Boama Nyako. Actually, what I should be saying is Isaac Boama Nyako. He's the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Efia constituency. That's what it should say, or what it should read. Good morning, boss. Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
The first time on the show.
Yes. When I had the invitation, I was like, okay. I've not paid particular attention because almost every weekend we had the constituency. So I don't remember the last time I even watched a morning show. On Saturday, this time especially. I would have been in a funeral.
Right.
So I've missed all the morning show programs for a while. Yeah, but I'm happy to be here. The setting and everything, I think, is very interesting. So I wish the show well.
Thank you. And we're just hoping that Honorable is not going to be a flash in the pan or a 9-day wonder. He will be joining us from time to time as and when he has the time. And what we're going to do is that we're going to give him a prior notice, enough prior notice for him to tell his constituents that, yes, I will join you later, but I'll be on inside pages, and they will understand, because he's serving them, he's serving Mother Ghana, he's serving everybody. Anyway, and also joining us will be Professor Samuel Edujemfi, who is a political historian with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. We call it NUST. Some people say KNUST, but I call it NUST. Prof will join us via Zoom shortly. But also joining us in the studio is Dr. Julius Kweku Kata, Julius Kweku Kata. Sorry about that. He is a fellow chartered economist and a member of the NDC's communications team. Doc, good morning.
Morning.
And it's good to see you, sir.
It's good to see you too.
Doc is a very busy man.
Yeah.
We struggle sometimes to get him to join us.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a very busy man. He's not wanted. He's not wanted by just.
Which board has he been put on?
Well, he'll tell you later. That one I know. He'll tell you later. He's not wanted. He's not wanted by not only the NDC and Ghana, but even internationally. So, yes, from time to time when he's in town, we drag him into the studio. So, Doc, we're so happy and grateful.
I'm grateful you brought me to show my face again.
Thank you.
Honorable, you're welcome.
Right.
Thank you.
And also we joined at some point by Daniel Sabote, who's a senior lecturer, School of Business, Accra Technical University. But let's start with what I believe is also equally important, because it has to do with the New Patriotic Party. The New Patriotic Party is a public organization. And so we ought to have some interest in what happens in the party. If the New Patriotic Party get it at the party level, if they get it right, they obviously would reflect when they get the position to come to power sometime in the future. Now, Honorable, this whole amendment or the new changes that the party is introducing, one of which has to do with an early Congress. It appears to be unprecedented. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time a party is electing its flag bearer. No, the New Patriotic Party is electing its flag bearer just a year after being in opposition. I mean, you've been listening to some of the reactions that have greeted the decision, and what do you make of some of the things you've heard so far, based or following the decision which has been made?
Right, thank you very much, and a very good morning once again to our cherished viewers and to the people of the Western Region and Efia constituency whom I represent. I believe NPP is an organization governed by law. We have our own constitution that defines our operations. We have various levels of leadership in the party. We have our General Assembly, we have our National Council, we have our National Executive Committee, amongst others. And the Constitution provides each and everybody its powers, obligations, and responsibilities. And so anytime the National Council meets, they have an obligation to chart the course of the party, to which, in their best interest, will augur well for us as a political party. The beauty of it is that the National Council has representation across the country, across every region, across members of parliament, past executives of the party, current executives, patrons, council of elders. And so it's a microcosm of the entire party structure that we have prior to going for a general congress. Now, one of the responsibilities of the National Council is to determine when elections are supposed to be held for flag bearership. And so they've taken these decisions independently from all other considerations that we do as a party. Now, following our last election results, the 2024, which we lost, and people who say we lost badly, to some extent I agree, but it was not too much unexpected, because for any election that you go, you're either going to win or you are going to lose. And so once you've lost, you need to take decisions as to understanding why you lost the elections.
I think the issue here has to do with the scale and the size of the loss, isn't it, rather than just the loss.
Oh, but that's why I'm saying that we've been there before. 1996, President Kufuor lost with 38%.
But President Kufuor at the time, he was in opposition, wasn't he? He was in opposition. So some say, well, to some extent it's understandable.
Oh, if you always want to give explanation and justification, it's easy. I'm not justifying that performance was strong.
Right.
I've already indicated that was our worst performance post-President Kufuor's era. And so it's a significant loss we cannot brush over. And after that, that led to the commissioning of committee, and Prof. Ukwe committee, to establish some of the reasons for that abysmal performance, if I may put it that way. And the committee had come up with their report. The National Council was seized with the report, and several recommendations were made, which included amending portions of our constitution. And so at the National Council level, all of these considerations have been taken. But the biggest conversation has been, at what point do we elect our flag bearer? And there's been arguments for and against electing the flag bearer early. I think there was consensus actually when it comes to electing the flag bearer early. The only area of contestation has been whether we do that top down or we do it bottom up.
Okay.
And so arguments have been raised as to why we need to reorganize, rearrange, rebrand the party bottom up approach. And then there are other schools of thought that believe we should do a top down. The top-down has not been our tradition. Traditionally, we've always been doing bottom-up, where you build it from the polling station level, electoral area level, constituency level, regional level, national level, before we decide on the flag bearership. But good reasons were adduced for consideration at the top-down. The first rationale is that we needed, as a party for now, to settle on the flag bearership because the next election is just 3 years away. And you need, in opposition, a leadership that is going to hold the fort when it comes to the next election. And so an early election of the flag bearer, one would inure to us fashioning out our policy, our strategies, mending our ways in case there were challenges with the Congress or the elections. Because if you take it from the last flag bearership, where elections was done barely a year to the main election, and the difficulties that we needed to endure amongst ourselves, then this approach of doing the early Congress sits well with the rank and file of the party. Now, the issue as to why don't we start with the reforms at the bottom so that you get, if, for example, you want to expand the electoral college, you need, the argument is that why not expand the electoral college, bring in more people to come and make the decision for the flag bearer. But I always say that until we come to the point where we are affording every card-bearing member the opportunity to elect whether members of parliament or executives at the local level all the way to the national level, no matter how wide you expand, others will still be excluded. And those arguments of I wasn't part of the process would always linger.
Right.
So the objective of the party is looking at how best to put our act together so that by the next election or the next Congress, we expand to allow every card-bearing member of the party to be part of the decision-making. I'm of that school of thought. Because I say, if the well-known MPP people in my constituency, for example, are 10,000 out of 50,000, those I have data on are 10,000, why would I want a college of 500 to make a decision for who represents them? If I have a data that suggests 10,000 NPP registered members, right from the polling station level to the entire constituency, and we want to take a great decision for us as to who leads them at the constituency level, all of them should be part of that decision-making process.
So essentially what you're saying is you are for the idea of expanding the electoral college?
Yes, ultimately, to include every card-bearing member of the party.
And of course, in good standing.
In good standing, of course, all of that is satisfied.
Right.
Because before you participate, you need to show that you are in good standing, like in any organization. And so once you do that, it is easier for the same people who elected you to go out there and campaign.
Okay.
And there will be no conversation around, you gave me, those who elected you took 2,000, they took 5,000, some took TV and the rest, and we didn't benefit. Now, you have come and you want all of us to follow you, so you have to also pay me. So all of this hula baloo about bottom up or top down can never be cured until we expand the electoral college to include every card-bearing member of the party.
Okay.
And the party is not in a position today to do that before we elect a flag bearer. So let the status quo ante remain. And the biggest question is that in our election defeat in 2024, is there any suggestion to the effect that we have the problem with the flag bearer? That data has not been shared. Per the findings of the Ukwe committee, every level of our party has a part to play in our electoral defeat. From the government itself that was established under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, certain decisions that were taken did not go down well with the good people of Ghana. So the party takes ultimate responsibility for our defeat. At the flag bearer level, Dr. Bawumia had certain things that people held against him in terms of maybe his utterances on the economy. People thought that, yes, we said he's economic whiz kid, he's the messiah that is going to change all the fortunes of Ghana, only to be to realize that it is not all about one person, and that you cannot be a vice president and take the entire economic responsibility, because the economy had a finance minister. The economy has a president who takes ultimate responsibility for decisions. So whilst in opposition as vice president or a vice presidential candidate, those utterances that suggested to Ghanaians that he is the one who is going to hold the economy, and then when we came into power, he didn't have that 100% responsibility, also inured to a disadvantage. And so he, as our flag bearer, also had one or two issues. Now, besides him as the flag bearer, even those who contested him as flag bearer candidates, they also contributed to our defeat. Utterances during the processes leading to the elections, things that divided us as a party, all of that were part. Now, when you even come down to the regional level, how coordinated were we? Even the members of parliament that contested the elections, the parliamentary candidates, what were the relationship we built at the lower level? You go to some constituencies and people had issues with parliamentary candidates. And so until we understand that the party itself has to sit down, reflect, come together and work towards a national or a party vision that takes responsibility for our performance and put in the measures that will cause us to become more attractive than we look today, give the Ghanaian people the belief and the option that they've always known the MPP to be a party for the people, a party that has delivered on several levels to the good people of Ghana, from President Kufuor's time, NHIS, to Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, free SHS. These are the biggest policy shifts that this country has ever enjoyed in the history of the Fourth Republic. And so why is it that we are grappling over? And the issue is that a lot of these comments, if I take it from my readings across the airwaves since we started, since this publication came, I have never heard any NPP leading figure. Well, okay, I heard Ijaku, who I didn't hear. I saw a post that Ijaku was against the early flag bearer decision, but he is supposed to be part of NEC, of National Council. He didn't attend, so it's not that he even attended and shared his view and he lost. And so you, even when you lose, you are bound by the collective decision. But this decision was unanimously taken. And I'm saying that 99% from the hearings I've seen, the readings I've had.
But for early Congress.
For early Congress. That is not in doubt. And even the decision to do top-down was also unanimously agreed at Congress. And I have gone back to my constituency.
Before you talk to me about you going back to your constituency to find out what your thoughts about this decision is, I want to find out from you, when we talk about the MPP's National Council, what bodies or organs constitute the National Council?
Yeah, so the National Council, as I said, is made up of regional representatives.
Okay.
It's made up of national executives.
Okay.
The regional, that's reps, the regional chairman.
Right.
Part. You have the national executives. You have all former presidents and former vice presidents. You have all former general secretaries and former national chairmen.
Okay.
You have representatives of the members of parliament caucus, whether in majority or minority, and then international branch representatives. So
that's quite diverse.
Extremely. That's why I said it's a microcosm of the entire party.
Okay.
Exactly. So that decision is difficult to have National Council take a decision, and then you have a cross section of the party disagree, and that's why we have unanimity in terms of this position. Okay. So arguments, I cannot fathom anybody having an issue with this decision. Now, whatever decision that has been made, it is for us as a party to go out there and implement it and show cause why these elections that we are going to hold in January 31st should not be acrimonious, as we had seen in the last election. Because remember, this time there's no call for establishment tripping. At the last election, we heard that because the vice president was the vice president, there is a general feeling among some of the delegates that, or the aspirants, that this was being cooked by an establishment to consolidate Dr. Bawumia's reign.
And I heard the MP for Assin North made the same argument. I'm talking about the chap who spoke.
Dr. Intim Fojo.
Yes. Intim Fojo. So he made the same argument.
Yeah. So now, Obia and Obia, there is no establishment. There are no MMDCs who are being shaped. There are no ministers of state, and you can see, even with the way people started making positioning themselves to, we have Honorable Brian Achampon showing face to contest, we have Dr. Osei Duchum showing face to contest, we have Honorable Kennedy Japon long standing showing face to contest, and we have different groups of people believing in their ideology or whatever they want to bring on board, following them. And that is the beauty of the party. All we need to do is to be mindful of our utterances. And apart from utterances, to remember that this is only an internal contest, selecting one person to be flag bearer. I say that in MPP, nobody is best. Dr. Bawumia is not the best person in MPP. Kennedy Japon is not the best person in MPP. Brian Achampon is not the best person in MPP. Dr. Duchum is not the best person in MPP. It is only an opportunity the party is availing for us to elect someone who represents a primus inter pares. But the collective reign of the party behoves on all of us. And so nobody should leave an impression that we are going to select somebody who has all the knowledge we need.
Let me ask you this, and sorry I interrupted you, unfortunately, at some point when you were making your submission. In fact, there was a point where you talked about you going back to your constituents to interact with them and to pick their thoughts about what they made of the decision that has been made. But there's another issue which has come up. Now, the current album that the MPP intends to use for the elections, this is the same album that produced, to a very large extent, the Bawumia-led NPP into the 2024 elections, yes. Isn't it? Mm. Now, there are some people who are saying that the whole idea, and again, I'm only regurgitating what some people have said, it's not my personal opinion.
No, that's fine.
I've heard some of your party folks say, in fact, especially on social media, that this early Congress would only advance a Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia project or agenda because the very people who voted for him that got him the closest 60% victory that made him the flag bearer of your party are the same people largely who on that album. I mean, putting aside issues about persons who are perhaps must have passed away or are incapacitated, but largely the same group of people. So an early Congress only favors Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yeah. How do you respond? Okay. So the thing about you today, this morning, is that you're wearing two hats.
Yeah.
You are first of all an MPP member, and you're here representing the New Patriotic Party. Yeah. But I've also seen you in that video where you were one of the 60 MPs that went to, throw your unalloyed support to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So you're wearing two hats. I don't know how you're going to go about it.
No, it's not difficult. It's not difficult at all.
Without people actually reading all kinds of meanings into it, thinking that, but you've brought a Bawumia person, where's the Kent person, where's the Duchu person, that kind of thing.
Everybody in the party knows where I stand in this. So first and foremost, I think the argument on the album that elected Dr. Bawumia to be flag bearer, and so if that same album is going to be used, would inure to his benefit is neither here nor there. Mm. My reason being that the album is a party album, as at now. And that album, people went out there and campaigned. So are we saying that if a group of people chose a leader yesterday, the same people have no reasonability if they think that there's a need to change course? When I was coming in to be the parliamentary candidate for MPP, there was an existing album. I didn't set the album up. The album was set up by an existing regime.
Okay.
And then I used the same album, which I never participated in, to win the elections.
Okay.
About messaging, about relationship. Ghana's election, which album do we use? Don't we use the same album and only update based on people who are dead and those who are 10, 18 years?
They're always first-time voters, aren't
That's
they?
what I'm saying.
And there are people who are actually saying that the election, to a very large extent, is affected largely by first-time voters and how they think or feel about the particular candidate that the two political parties are sponsoring.
Statistics doesn't suggest
Right.
so. All I'm saying is that the album that we use for national elections, we don't recreate it every day.
Right.
We only update.
Right.
Okay. And in the case of our Congress too, the album will be updated.
Okay.
Because there are suggestions that we should include some 2 or so more. These are recommendations to expand the college by the polling station executives by some 2 more, from 5 to 7, and bring on board, expand the electoral college, electoral area numbers from 1 coordinator to about 4 more, making them 5.
But that's just a suggestion.
No, that is what is going to be approved to end. We are going for July Congress.
Yeah, no, that's a conference.
Yes.
The Congress is the January one, but it's a conference.
Conference. The conference will adopt some of these recommendations.
No, but I'm saying that is it automatic that conference will adopt these decisions?
Oh, that is when.
Is it possible for conference to actually reverse it, to thwart it, and throw it away?
Oh, that is normally when you go for conference. But we've seen when consensus are built around certain decisions.
Rarely do you see situations where conference
because as I
it.
said, we are all for expansion.
Okay.
We are all for expansion.
Okay.
Actually, when you don't, that's what I'm saying, that even whether you bring 2 more, or you bring 5 more, or you bring 10 more,
it won't make any difference.
The value is the same so long as everybody with card-bearing membership doesn't have an opportunity to vote.
Okay.
And so the album that currently exists, even when you look at the tradition of reworking albums, you don't get 50% or 40% people removed. Normally, the changes that come to the album ranges between 10 to 20% maximum.
Okay.
So the crust of it, and that is why we should be careful not to suggest that internally there's a conflict between even the album that is going to be used.
All right.
Because delegates and the aspirants know the people.
All right.
And it is for you to package your message. If I am any of the aspirants and I am contesting, I will not come from a defeatist point of view that because there's an album, who created the album? The album has been created from polling station level. Album has been created from polling station level up to this stage without anybody's influence.
I get it.
Yeah,
let me speak to Professor. Let me ask Professor Samuel Edudjemfi to weigh in on this matter. I want to really know what his professional, take or perspective on this matter is. Prof, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Hello, Prof. If you can unmute so that we can hear you, sir. Hello, Prof. 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 Hello. Well, Prof, I guess that you have not unmuted your microphone, and that's why we're struggling to hear you. So if you can do just that, I would be okay. So Prof is sorting out his microphone issues, and then he will join us. So there's also. Hello, Prof. Can you hear me? I believe you should be able to hear me now.
Can you hear me?
Wonderful.
I hear you, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you very much for accepting to join us on Inside Pages on Metro Television. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I trust you are doing great yourself.
I'm fine, thank you. Fine, thank you. Now, Prof, The good thing is that you're a political historian, and so I'm sure that you've been there, you've done that, you've read a lot about these political parties and historically where they have come from and so on and so forth. Now, what do you make of what the New Patriotic Party intends to do going forward, which is to do, first of all, an early Congress? Secondly, the early Congress is 31st January 2026. Good decision, bad decision? Where do you stand on this, or how do you see it?
Thank you very much, my brother. Yes, if you look at it, I mean, fundamentally, you would say that it is the call of the MPP, it is the call of the executives to want to do this, to direct the future of the party called MPP. But interestingly, I believe that the MPP does not exist as a unit that only has members internally who go to vote. The MPP as a party, in many respects, is a public entity or group, and it serves the interest of Ghana. You would agree that it has formed government severally, and also it has served in opposition. The public whom they serve or who they serve have the right and the privileges largely to speak about it, because it's a political party which is formed to win power, form government, and when it is not in power, also serve as a strong voice for the people in opposition, to serve as a check even on the executive. And you would agree that within our multi-party democracy, within this current arrangement, you would not wish and hope that the MPP is rendered catatonic rather, and not be able to play its role even whilst in opposition. What is germane about the discussion, I believe, is the fact that the MPP wants to go into primaries to elect their flag bearer. Leadership, they say, is everything, and that is critical. Two fundamental assumptions I'll put across. One, that if you are looking at leadership, then we are looking at somebody who's going to effect change and who is going to bring massive influence to the party. And that is something, respectfully so, I want the MPP to pay attention to, whilst they intend to go into these primaries that they have set to go into. Leadership is what will matter going forward, because we know that when political parties suffer defeat like this, either in the NDC or in the MPP, there's a reason for concern, and the parties try to come out with other ideas and strategies to recalibrate, or better still, to re-engineer their process to make them more viable and possibly win elections again. And at least we have seen that it's been an equal beating among themselves, power alternating 8 years here and 8 years there. The last election, the intention was to break the 8, led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And the intent to break the 8 was at least to create a new paradigm or shift that never sufficed. But then the question is that if they want to go into early primaries and produce a leader, would that leader be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Around this time, we all know that he seemed to be the face of the party, and that whether we like it or not, because of personal loyalty and relationship that has accustomed multi-party democracy in Ghana in many ways, what the experts refer to as patrimonialism. It is not surprising that you find that other actors within the party, equally competitive voices, and other voices who want to, who believe that the relationship they're in should be cathartic around this time. You go into elections, you lose by, you gain 41% of the vote. There is a margin of over, 2 million votes or thereabout between the party and the other party, NDC. There are executives, generals who went to war, or in quotation marks, who went to war and lost elections. These teaming executives who worked with the flag bearer are still at post, and in many ways, they also have a role to play around this time. Remember, my reference is to patrimonialism, or personal loyalty and relationships within a multi-party democracy and parties in Ghana. And this is not only specifically to the MPP, but also it can be said among other parties. But the point is that once you have the flag bearer, the former flag bearer, still interested and is leading the party in many things, and then there are quest for, struggle for power within, it raises a lot of questions, it raises a lot of challenges, and that in itself has the tendency or the proclivity to stifle the party's own growth, because we are not looking at some organic, potential to transition power from one hand to the other, because those who lost election, the macrocosm of the party itself lost election. But in terms of the microcosm of the party, you are looking at the executives and the leaders who led the charge and supported the chief leader, if you want, for a better want of a right word, the flag bearer, to go into this contest that they lost. Now, once they've lost elections, it is important for us to appreciate the fact that many things will be shaking around them, because there are other interested parties who may feel that they have more ideas or strategies or capacity to be able to support the leader, whoever he may be in the foreseeable future, to win elections. Why not the case that such elections are done in good time for such leaders to emerge within a certain organic framework? The internal democratic culture of the MPP has subsisted over time, and that is unquestionable. And the masses of Ghana, even including the NDC, that serve as a major opposing voice to the NPP, in many respects, oscillating power between themselves and the MPP, know that the MPP is a big voice within Ghana's politics. But the MPP has done so because of, one, the quest to shape the politics of Ghana through reform. In many ways, you remember the CME Preko, the Kumi Preko, the stolen verdict, the discussions and all that. But for them to have had to have served as the, if you like, the focal point, the fulcrum of shaping Ghana's politics towards electoral reform, is the fact that internally they themselves were doing what is right. Not a perfect tradition for that matter. From the days of Edu Boahen, you remember in the early 90s, right? When he led the party, great job, fantastic job to support the party, but he did a great job as a historian and also as a politician to shape the discourse, to get involved and to rally the voices of the party. And yet he went to elections and was not able to do as much as maybe it would have been anticipated. But I say that Professor Albert Edu Boahen was in his own class, right? And he got 30% plus or so with President Rawlings. Around this time, you know that he had served as the leader of the country, as a military leader for years. I shudder to say that he had almost become a colossus in terms of influence and power within the state, and that the transitional points were going to be gradual. And yet when he lost the elections, by 1996, his ability or power to lead had organically been changed, and power had shifted hands to J.A. Kufuor. We see that J.A. Kufuor goes in there, and organically there is an internal elections that gives him the nod to go again. That has been the tradition of the MPP. The idea has not been that a certain individual has some special abilities, and I share the thoughts and the reflections of my senior brother in the studio. The fact that, look, there isn't any special person within the MPP who is special than the other special members of the party. And as you know, in this country, I beg to say, again, I shudder to say, you cannot say that, I do not know whether I should say it or not, but I shudder to say that the president's leadership for today is what makes him special, so that he has the opportunity to choose from a teeming group of people who may have more credentials than him, maybe more education than him, or more, could be even smarter than him, I beg to say. Acting like maybe a Jewish prophet or an apostle, I would say that the ability of Ahithophel, for example, and those of you who have stuck to Christian traditions and Judeo-Christianity may understand what I'm trying to say, even though I will try to explain. Ahithophel was the chief counselor of David. And at the time when Ahithophel had taken sides with David's son Absalom, David had to go and pray because there wasn't a single counsel Ahithophel gave that fell to the ground. He was intelligent, he had enough wit and wisdom, and in many respects, Ahithophel served a purpose to make David successful. And that when Ahithophel had shifted camp, it was quite clear that indeed David was going to lose. David had to deploy the spiritual arm of God in many respects. For those of you who are not atheists and believe in spiritual traditions and faith and all that, will follow this story keenly. The greater dimension in this narrative I try to put across is the fact that indeed, many a times, there are individuals within a group, an entity, a state, that are smarter than their leaders in many respects. And that it takes a leader to be able to bring these forces together in many ways to make him successful. Going into early primaries is not only the question. The question is that would the one who will emerge out of these primaries serve as that leader who would be able to mobilize the frontiers of the party and potentially give it victory, or give the party the kind of color it has, both historically, aesthetically, and better still, even spiritually. And this is very essential. Right.
All right. You know, Prof, the way you submit on issues is almost as if you and I worked on the questions that I intended to ask you. You've covered all areas, and so I'm struggling to ask a follow-up question. And so I'd really would want to thank you. In any case, you know, professors are very busy. I don't want to take too much of your time. So I'd really want to thank you very, very much for making time this morning. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so very much. Professor Dujemfe, he's a political historian with KNUST. Fantastic chap. Fantastic submission on the matter. So I'll come back in-house and get Dr. Kweku Kata to also share his view on this matter. He is a chartered economist, but he lives here too. He is also a political and a social watcher, and so I'm sure that he'll have his views to share on this, what's happening with the... You must be happy that some people are not happy that there's a top to bottom instead of bottom to the bottom up approach, and the reservations and the little talk here and there, as we see also, especially on social media. You must be happy, because you say you want to be in power for a very long time.
Yes.
You mean business?
We mean business.
Okay.
Let me take your platform to quickly greet His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the leader of governance in this time, and also to thank my family, Togwe Amanyafiti of Ketusav, Togwe Sri of Angolo, and other families, prominent people, Brigadier General Carter, the late, and all other brothers and sisters. I want to thank all of you and the regional minister for Volta region. I want to thank you, the NDC gurus in Volta region. I want to thank you, Honorable Bejra. I want to thank you for all your efforts for NDC to come back into power. Moreover, it is beautiful that when you are developing a strategy, you either use the top-bottom approach or you either use the top approach or you use the bottom approach. But classically, I think that the MPP losing the election, first of all, you need to know the quantification of the effect, the quantification effect on the party. the huge margin that NDC created between MPP and NEC. NPP needs to do their homework to find out what caused their own internal problems, their external problems that affected the party, the leadership creative knowledge at the top. What they didn't do right, they need to look at it.
The Professor Michael Quay report is taking care of all of that.
Yes. So
they know.
I have a paraphrase inspiration to give my brother, who is here. That deliberation is essential in governance. But paralysis is a crime against the people.
Right.
If you paralyze an economy, it is against the people of this country. The huge debt they created sector by sector is a paralysis that affects the system. And when we came into power, you can see that that paralysis is indicating that they need to have a strong internal organization to be able to match the NDC in 2028. Hence, they should know that even because of academia, I'm telling them that they have to go back to the grassroots, listen to the people that the crime, the paralysis have affected. And they need to get the medicine that can cure that kind of pain. Then they can be able to recoup the 1.7 million votes to 2 million votes that they want in 2028. But that's not to stay. NDC is coming with a different approach and strategy. So far as I am concerned, for the experience of 33 to 34 years in the party, we're going to drop a developmental strategy that will really harness more votes in 2028 than ever in this country. Notwithstanding that, I say MPP, congratio political hesitance.
What does that mean?
Congratio political hesitance. They are in a haste to select their leader. They are rushing. They should go back. They should sit down. They should comfortably sit down and go into themselves and do the internal reflections and be able to come out with a vim, because NDC, as I said, we are going to drop a heavy developmental strategy against the MPP, and they will never come to power in 2028. Now, let me tell you, he used a Latin word called primus inter pares.
Yes, first among equals, isn't it?
First what?
Among equals.
First among equals.
Yes.
The equals are not adding to the equals.
How so?
Because there are factions in the MPP. So the equals cannot be equals.
There are factions in every political party.
Yes, but this is a negative. Their party now has a negative factions. And the negative factions, the factions are very high. So they need to bridge it so that they can breathe. They can't breathe at this time because the deep wounds on Ghanaians is high. I'm only giving him...
But that is even the more reason why proponents of an early Congress are saying that in view of this, what we call deepening factionalism in the party, it is important that the party leads elect a leader who becomes then the primus inter pares within the party. That person hopefully would have enough time to bring all factions together because the party knows who belongs where.
Anyway, I'm not here to teach.
So the new leader would identify the factions and try and bring, and we would have more than enough time.
Let me tell you.
So they don't disagree with you that there are factions.
Yes.
But where they disagree with you is that these factions would stay and be so poisonous and be so inimical to the growth and the forward march of the party to the point where they can't do anything in 2028. That's where they disagree with you. They'll tell you that, yes, we know we have different groups with different agenda, different opinions, which is quite normal because you can't get everybody to agree on the way forward as to how the party must move, which is normal. But the most important thing is get a leader who has what it takes, has the clout, has the competencies, and has the charisma to carry the party along and bring all these factions together to make it difficult for them to undermine the efforts of the party going into the 2028 election. So that is where they're coming from, and that's why they need an early Congress. You still disagree?
I still disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, because let me tell you something.
So if you're if you were in the shoes of the MPP, what would you have done differently? Would you have shifted the Congress to a later date? Of course, you cannot go beyond 2 years into the next election because that's
no. That one it's not possible.
Yes.
2 years.
Yes.
But let me tell you something.
Okay.
When you have, let me give you some example. If you go to St. Joseph Hospital right now,
okay,
if you see patients whose bones are damaged, it doesn't take 3 months, 4 months to heal.
Right.
Excuse me. It takes some time, like 6 months, 1 year, depending on the preparations that the doctors make to get this thing. It is because first you need to have a deep information on the stakeholder interest. Then you need to have individual interest of the party on the grassroots. How you need to gather more information. What causes the situation?
Maybe they've done all of that.
Because I'm a researcher, that is why I'm talking from this view.
And I'm saying maybe they've done that research.
I am very pathetic, but we are not going to have a, how do we call it, a competitive opponent with a competitive nature of democracy when this MPP doesn't do what I am expecting them to do. Because you can't heal your wounds just within 6 months. Yes.
But they're hoping. So it's 6 months. But they're hoping
that
within
is their faith.
by next year, January, they would have healed.
Yes,
totally.
I'm not against them going into
early Congress.
But I'm saying that, look, we need a competitor.
Okay.
NDC needs a solid competitor. Because where we are now, we are not going to drop from that stage. And I'm telling you as a development strategist, as an economic strategist, that we are going to push the MPP to the extent that they cannot be able to match us if they don't prepare well. And I believe that they should prepare well because the game is going to be a very tough one.
You're aiming to increase the votes difference, the margins from 1.7
and you see the signals.
2 million?
Yes, you see the signals. You're seeing the economic indicators. You're seeing the performance level.
Well, you're doing well, no doubt.
Yes, of course. Well. Yeah. Because sometimes it is not only me being in front as a minister or whatever, but you don't know what I push on the ground. And I will not reveal my strategy here.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we are very confident and we are very, very, very sure that we are going to push the MPP to the extent that they should know that they have to be a tough competitor. Because when you are my rival, I don't look at only jealousy. I look at how I'm going to compete with you so that you know that, yes.
So it doesn't matter to you who the MPP would elect on January 31? Whether it's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kenneth Dupont, Joe Garte? For you, it's immaterial.
It doesn't matter at this time. Because the strategy...
You will be coming up with a new candidate. How are you going to transit from the Mahama-led NDC to a new phase?
Yes.
And to market that new phase to compete or to contest competitively with, if it's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he's been around for a long time.
The base of that goal is what we are doing today. That is what we are satisfying. We are making sure that Ghana sees the face of the real development. Whether we put goat, sheep...
But is development enough to win you elections? Is development only development? Is it enough to win elections?
The welfare of the nation, as Adam Smith states,
yes,
the welfare of the nation is when people are satisfied with the choices of what they eat, what they wear, and where they sleep.
True.
The basics.
True.
And we are doing the basics.
But you also know that in party politics, apathy can undermine whatever it is that you've done for the people.
Agree.
Apathy.
Apathy. Yes, I know.
It's a very, very big factor.
I know. That is why.
In fact, in 2016, one of the reasons why you were very hurt was because you believed that John Mahama had done such a fantastic job, and you were always giving a list of things John Mahama had done. Accra, Circle Dubai, this, that. You had a tall list of things, and you were hurt. You're like, why did he lose? Because your base were very unhappy. They were not getting jobs. They thought some of you were chilling. I don't know what position you had at the time. They felt they had been left, on. They were.
That
not
notwithstanding,
cared for,
I tell
so
you
forth.
honestly, with a 24-hour economy plan and the strategy we have put in place, there's nobody who is going to be left on the hook. I don't want to tell the grassroots that we are ready for everybody.
Okay.
And the actions are showing. The indicators are showing.
Okay.
Look, today somebody will sit down and say, "Former intelligence, I didn't get a job. I've not gotten a post yet. I have not gotten an appointment yet. But I'm not worried. I'm confident. I'm here defending the party because I believe that the change is coming in. It's coming in.
Okay.
So I cannot lose hope.
All right.
Because even the euphoria alone is giving me the confidence to be here.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. All right. So I guess that we'd have to move on because we're running out of time.
Just a minute.
Just 1 second.
I'm not rebutting. I want to appreciate you for your concern.
But remember when you dash us some 10 minutes.
Yes. I want to appreciate you for your concern and advice to us as a political party. We take it in good faith.
Right.
To the extent that the MPP has to be very competitive to face the NDC. I can assure you that you see a very competitive new patriotic party after we've elected our flag bearer, because that is the leader of the party. So whoever we elect, I can assure you that MPP will face NDC squarely. The second aspect I want you to take note is that we're coming to discuss the economy.
Very important.
But you don't lose fact that a good number of Ghanaians are still being affected by your decisions. Every day I see people being dismissed from work. Ghanaians. Not as a result of just being recruited in December per the President's directive or Chief of Staff directive. But there's a conscious attempt by sector ministers and certain CEOs that have been appointed to go back to people who have been working for years and terminating appointments, including recent, just in the past few days, the Bank of Ghana. Okay, so you see these things and you talk about, we are satisfying the base. And we said already we are 6 months down the government and there's not been any creation for employment for the youth, the teeming youth. And then those who are even in employment are being terminated by this. And they are all Ghanaians. Whether they were picked by, and at times I marvel, I've been in an organization, GRA, where we recruited several thousands of people. And there's no way those recruitments were politically motivated. And so there are people, there are people who voted massively for even NDC, who have been recruited by the MPP. And yet when terminations are happening, you don't even know whom you are terminating the appointment. So just take it as also a signal.
Right. And
then when you discuss with the powers that be, let's secure employment for the good people of God, because it doesn't look good to just be doing sack some and bring yours in. It doesn't help nation building.
But that's been very characteristics of the kind of politics we've done since 1992, isn't it?
No, but what we are seeing, we've seen political appointees being changed when there's a change of government.
Yes.
But this has gone to the root of every level
I have
of
friends
employment.
who lost their jobs until now. They've never forgiven the MPP for that. When the MPP came to power in 2017.
Okay.
I can give you a tall list of
No,
them.
no, that's fine.
Yeah,
If it did happen,
yes.
I don't have
and I'm not in any way justifying this, because I think every Ghanaian deserves a
that's
decent
fine.
blah, blah, blah.
If it did happen,
yes,
and it's continuing, then that is a very difficult part.
It's a very difficult.
We are pitching as a country, because I would in no way support any government for causing someone to lose employment because of a change of government.
Yeah.
It is the responsibility of the government to create jobs.
I agree. So take someone like Dr. Kwaku Carter. We all know his credentials, right?
Yes.
So he's been been supporting this party, the NDC, for many years, and the party is now in power. You know, naturally has a certain expectations that he's given opportunity to serve not just his party, but Mother Ghana in his own capacity. He has all these experiences and competences, and it hasn't happened. The party recognizes that because the party knows that, look, this is what this man has
create
done
opportunities.
I get that, but I'm saying that whilst the opportunities are being created, the party is also looking at persons who were sacked and replaced by MPP chaps, and they're saying, well, you came in because an NDC person was sacked, so you also go. You know, so we have created a system. We have created a system where you eat small for 8 years, you go, and somebody else has to come and eat small for 8 years. So we keep doing this back and forth. But anyway, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we will be looking at what has informed or the causative factors for this upgrade from RD to B-, which Fitch has done for us, and also what are we supposed to do with these numbers, or what we call these fiscal parameters? Are we to go and say, well, because our credit worthiness has been upgraded, let's go out there and borrow some more, or we would have to hasten slowly? We're not there yet. Please stay with us.
Smart, smooth, interactive, and a built-in Android active panel made for modern work and home. For corporate clients and university students, enjoy top quality 10th generation Toshiba laptops built for performance, power, clarity, and speed, all in one desktop. At Mycom JA Computers, get a laptop for as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. All products are imported from the USA with a 1-year warranty. Visit Mycom JA Computers today and elevate your tech.
Ama, nansi mi jeno wo bin enko ye kwao. Ama ma ye bohu se kontomra akija.
Nansi me hu se me nyo basima kura. Ama me kunu me into kwankwa. Oh, you right. Enye mo ko. Give us GC mixture and any capsules. Aye num boom. En ho asem na mo kana. E boa emma ene meme nyina. Na ma wo ba ye obesima. Na be ma so aye be masima. Ya, we be boa wo kunu. Ama ne giant sa wo de hye ni botum. Na wanyinya na nim tisese ni oyi chokmo na. GC mixture and a capsule.
A painful battle, one more menu for one kwada when if you do me.
Brand new on DSTV. When a nominee to the Supreme Court dies, his family begins to suspect foul play.
Dad knew that he was in trouble.
Hollywood's darkest scandals are exposed in this gripping 6-part documentary series.
You have violence, fraud, homicide.
And a rich and powerful family is thrown into turmoil when a young woman claims to be the owner's illegitimate daughter.
You have another daughter.
Stay connected to everything new on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
Twenty-one minutes past the hour of 9. We have just about 45 minutes or so, I believe, I think we have about 35 minutes to go. And we have to quickly look at this very important, it's about Ghana's upgrade. Ghana's economy has been upgraded by Global Credit Rating Agency, Fitch. It has upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency that's issuer default rating, IDR, from the stricter default to B with a stable outlook. Now, we're told this is signaling growing investor confidence in Ghana's economic recovery under the NDC government. Now, the upgrade also reflects a significant progress in Ghana's fiscal and debt management following the successful restructuring of the $13.1 billion in Eurobond debt and the near completion of outstanding external debt negotiations. I'll start with you because you'll be leaving us in the next 10-15 minutes or so. But when you heard the report, I don't know what your immediate reaction was. Would you say, well, that's to be expected, or how did that happen? Remember, we've moved all the way from RD, we've passed through different levels, CCC, and then we're now at B-. How did we get there? That's a steep jump, isn't it?
Yes, if you're able to get a steep fall of the dollar or an appreciation of the cedi from 16 to 10, then that should equally impact on your rating.
Right.
Because you have enough now to reduce your debt portfolio. Even just with the cedi gain, the debt portfolio, we understand, has fallen by almost 25 to 30%. And then all other indicators positively show that we are on the right track. And so let's commend first and foremost government for what it's been able to achieve over the last couple of months. I always say that the government didn't do this out of nothing. There has always been a foundation on where it come from. Remember in 2022 when Ghana went into IMF partnership because of our bad economic position, which got us to a point where we couldn't even go to the market to borrow again. The IMF set up certain conditions for Ghana. And it is these conditions that Ghana had faithfully leveraged on, so that by the end of December 2024, almost all the IMF indicators had been met, except one or two. And so it provided the base and opportunities for us to make these giant steps that we have been able to do. Even at the parliamentary level, just 2 or 3 days ago at the Finance Committee, we've been looking at our OCC credit partners who are trying to come to some agreements with Ghana in terms of rescheduling our debt from 2026 to almost 2039, all to give us space to be able to restructure at a very low interest rate and also allow us to now go back to the market to borrow post 2026 to 2027. And so I think it is not enough for us to be praising ourselves for these gains, because we've been there before. I always say that this country, we forget about where we've come from. This is not the first time we've been graded B-. We've actually been graded B positive before.
Right.
And we fell down to wherever we are talking, C, C,
in fact, in 2017, we were at B.
Exactly. And so we should learn lessons. Doc is here. He's been telling us about lessons over the past period. So we are here today. How do we work to consolidate the gain and not fall short of whatever we've gained is the biggest question we should answer. And I believe I've asked this question with the Minister of Finance, with Energy Minister. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I was with the Energy Minister. You made a proposal, came to Parliament with a certificate of urgency to pass energy debt sector levy with an intention to raise 5.7 billion to go and pay off certain debts. Now you have suspended it for almost 2 weeks since we passed it. We're going into a month. The revenue that you intended to generate over the last 1 month, what are you doing to get those shortfalls since you suspended it? Because the debts are still accruing. The debts are compounding. And we are there, and the next time you wake up, another tax will be brought on board because we can pay our debts. And so I'm very happy when I go to the market and I see cedi to $1 at 10.3, though black market is now selling at 13, that is not my concern. Let's consolidate the 10, 10.2, 10.3. There is expectation that it may rise maximum up to 11. I don't even hope that we get there. But when we do these gains in 6 months and a year, we never have plans of consolidation. Now we have the Israel-Iran war, which has triggered the suspension of the levy. Why? Because as at the last window, prices are falling again to 10 point something. But we know that by the next window, 2 weeks' time, prices will go up in terms of fuel. Okay? And so if we don't plan in terms of our numbers, where are we now? What are the projections towards the end of year? Should this war persist? What is the gold market price? How are we saving our reserves in case we have emergency? How do we mobilize enough foreign exchange to support our imports and exports? These are all conversations that are kept in the dark. So we are unable to build confidence in the market. We are unable to project information for people to plan. So the market begins to panic, at the least frustration. But if we are able to regularly update the market, update the good people that this is where we are, we project in the next month that this is where we are going, because that is what the market needs. Market needs information.
Certainty.
Market needs certainty.
Predictability.
Market needs predictability. So that then they can run with the government. And so it is good, as I always say, but it is not enough. Right. Because we see challenges as a country. The president has instructed the Minister of Finance and Energy to meet up and come up with mechanisms to deal with this. As we speak now, check food production.
Okay.
President promised us agric, all of these ejumera and agric mechanization and all. Even budgetary releases, half year, has not reached ministries. The Minister for Roads, the Minister for that, they are all there. 6 months down the line, no work. So where are we going? So you can talk about all of these numbers, but there is no economic growth. Or even when they come and tell you, though, the economy will grow by 4.5, it's talking about the generality, because gold prices have gone up, oil is gone up, and so you can see the bigger GDP growing. But the real growth that affects the nook and cranny of our society is not there.
But when you look at the philosophy of the 2025 budget, or the philosophy underpinning the 2025 budget, it's quite clear that the budget is looking to stabilize the economy. It's not a growth-induced budget, is it?
No.
It's just to stabilize. And I've heard, what's the name? Dr. Kessler Forsen said is what is called a shock therapy. You know, which is that there was a lot of heat in the economy. The economy had to be cooled down, and so that then perhaps would explain why the government is not spending. In fact, the fiscal management, the fiscal program that the current managers of economy are running, it should be quite clear on all of us, which is let's stabilize now, and then tomorrow we can, when we generate some more revenue, then we can spend.
You know, the budget, we're all in Parliament. A lot of growth initiatives were indicated.
Right.
As I mentioned, the Jumera, they said 1.5 billion is going to be pushed in there. They said they are going to start the CODES project with about 150,000 or 200,000.
I'm talking expenditure in terms of physical infrastructure.
No, even but these are all parts of the
real economy.
That you need to inject capital.
Right.
And then when you even talk about infrastructure, they had given budgetary approvals for all of these agencies. Roads. Esa, we complained, but Ketwa no cry ema. Ketwa no cry ema. So all we are saying is that what we see today is only good for us as a country in terms of our economic outlook. for the international community to have trust in us, for us to know that we can go out there with our chest high and say we can borrow from the international market.
We're less risky,
exposed.
You know,
exactly.
a borrower.
But underneath these numbers are grave issues, which, when not tackled, you will slide the speed with which we rose from CRD to B-. It is the same speed you will fall. If we are not careful back to where we, and that is not good, because for proper economic management, before you drop from, let's say, B+ to B-, it would have taken a long period of time of economic recession.
Okay.
So you don't just get downgraded. You should be downgraded based on a lot of factors. You have made your effort, and then it comes to one grade below.
Right.
But we are just falling with some speed. Within 6 months, we just destroyed the economy, and then we are low. Then some way, somehow, things turn up right, and then within 3, 4, 5 months, we are up. That is not how you build a country. And so I will plead with the finance minister, with all the government economic management team. Now I have Doc coming to join the economic management team. I'm recommending you from today. When I meet today, we are going for a meeting. I'm sure the ministers will come. I'll write your name down and submit it to the minister, because I can see a lot of knowledge being shared on the table, so that you can help us sustain these gains.
Thank you so very much. That's the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Efia constituency. That's Mr. Isaac Boama Nyako. I believe I got the arrangement correctly. And he has some other engagements to attend to it, so he's left us actually. But let's go on Zoom and do a quick one, and then I can leave the rest of the time for Dr. Kweku Kata to expand on this matter, or to weigh in on this issue. So David Osabote is with us via Zoom. He's Daniel Osabote. He's a senior lecturer, School of Business, Accra Technical University. Boss, good morning. Thanks for joining us on Inside Pages.
Yeah, good morning, Muru, and good morning to my colleague in the studio.
All right, and I'll be glad if you could be brief on this, because Doc has been here. He's yet to have his take on the matter, this issue about the Fitch grading. But let me ask you this: you heard the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Efia constituency, who says, yes, the grading is good. It's good for the international community, who have a lot of money, right? They have a lot of money. They want to lend. Ghana needs that money, but they ought to be able to find out whether Ghana is that credit worthy, and how risky or less risky Ghana is in lending us this money. But he says back home, we have a lot of issues to tackle. Do you agree with him?
Yes. If you look at where we were, restricted default, and then we having been upgraded to B-, we can say that there has been an improvement. Yet we shouldn't be complacent, because the issues on the ground are not too positive in terms of the likelihood of we having to face some of these economic hardships. I mean, global economic hardship vis-a-vis what is happening in Israel and Iran. So he was right in saying that. But then you ask yourself, what are some of the benchmarks that Fitch used in doing the upgrade? You look at about 8 of these. They looked at the debt restructuring, fiscal consolidation, inflation reduction, economic growth, currency stability, investor confidence, debt to GDP, as well as interest payments. And aside the economic outlook, they have also made their own projections. So yes, it is an improvement, yet we have a lot more to do. Because I think that even with the B-, it is good, but it is not too good, because it still means that we are in the region of speculative grading, and of course it means we are still a high risk borrower in terms of our external debts and internal debt. So yes, we are doing well, but we have a lot more to add up.
I see. Would you advise the government, based on this grading, to go out there and borrow some more, or you would ask us to hasten slowly?
I'll advise that we hasten slowly because, my brother, any grading from B below means that we are still we have that higher risk of default. And rushing to the international market will mean that definitely lenders would like to be compensated with that higher interest or coupon. And of course, we are also looking at our vulnerability. We are not out of the woods yet. So I would rather advise government we hasten slowly. What we are seeing means that once we are able to put the right structures in place, we should be able to at least hit the B+ and even move on. So yes, government should hasten slowly. The investor confidence is rising, but that doesn't mean we should rush to the international bond market to raise funds.
When you read the Fitch report, it is quite clear that the domestic exchange program is largely attributed or can be attributed to why Fitch has decided to upgrade us to a B-. I mean, from where you sit, would you say that that for you is the chief reason why we are where we are today, or for this upgrade, or you think there's more to it?
Yeah, there are more to just the debt restructuring because, Ghanaians were forced to swallow that bitter pill. But we are seeing good results coming out of it. We're having about 13.1 billion in terms of the Eurobond, as well as the domestic debts. Government was able to come out to the restructure and people subscribe to it. But of course, the scars are still there. So yes, it has contributed to the upgrade, but that may not be the only reason. I mean, you are looking at fiscal consolidation. Fitch is also projecting 0.5% surplus of our primary surplus in 2025, even though government says that they are aiming at 1.5% primary surplus in 2025.
But isn't that too steep? This 1.5% primary balance that the government is aiming to achieve, isn't that a bit too steep?
Again, if that is too ambitious. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, again, if you look at what's happening in the Middle East.
Please go ahead.
I'm saying if you look at what's happening in the Middle East and its attendant effects on the economy, do you think that a 1.5 primary balance that the government intends to target, that the government intends to achieve, would not be that ambitious, over-ambitious?
The 1.5 primary surplus, for me, I think that government is being over-ambitious because if you look at the current global economic outlook, it means that we are not likely to hit the primary surplus of 1.5%. So I'm tempted to go by Fitch projection. We should look at 0.7, between 0.5 and then maybe 0.7.
You think it's more? You think that's more realistic and more attainable?
Yeah, that would be more realistic and attainable.
Okay.
Because from negative to positive and that wide gap, we should take a second look at it. But that is a projection that they have made, and for maybe that also contributed to the upgrade that we are enjoying. Okay, and then we are also looking at what is happening when it comes to inflation. We are in the region of 18.4% now, and Fitch is also projecting 15% by end of year.
Okay.
Yeah, all things being equal, I'm sure we should get to the 15% by the end of 2025.
All right.
Economic growth is also contributing to the upgrade. Okay, so 5.7% in 2024, and in terms of the stability, government is saying I'm looking at 4 point something by end of year.
Okay.
So all these things are positive indicators. But Moru, let me also add by saying that we shouldn't be too complacent. We need to work extra hard to make sure that we also improve on the upgrade,
Okay.
and not to rush to the international bond market for borrowing.
All right. We need to work hard to consolidate the gains and also to sustain the momentum. Thank you very much, David, Daniel Osabote, for your time. Thank you. All right. He's a senior lecturer at Accra Technical University. Now back in-house with Dr. Kwaku Carter. He's going to give us his own take. We have about 15 minutes to go, and I'm sure that's more than enough for you to give us your take on this matter. So, first of all, congratulations as being a member of the NDC for the feat which has been chalked, because that's a steep. We're from the dizzy height, from RD all the way to B minus. We only have B plus. We're just a step away from becoming, to attaining what I call a standard, level, which would be a B plus. But how did we get here?
Moro, I want to tell you that with the leadership of John Dramani Mahama and the quest to put the spirit of boot to boot, I quote, meaning that there is no step we take without principle. There's no step we take without discipline. All this connotes that principio efficientum. Principio efficientum.
You're speaking a lot of Latin today.
Yeah, because I'm coming from a Latin background.
Yeah, that explains.
I went to seminary secondary school, so I need to appreciate.
Right.
And I'm a Catholic.
Right.
The principle of effectiveness is what we are talking about. And the boot to boot that Mahama said when we were going into the election, this is the reflection of the boot to boot. It is not pertaining to only party contest. My greetings to the General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kote, my brother. I am here to take the period that we came into power. The comparison I'm going to do is the Ghana economic performance, January to June 2024 for the MPP, and January to June 2025 for the NDC. I'm doing this classification because you are talking about the rating, and we are talking about the rating based on certain economic variables. And the variables are simple: GDP, inflation, exchange rate, debt, reserve, credit rating, and employment. And moreover, it will surprise you to know that these indicators under the MPP between January to June and under the NDC between January to June this year, 2025, shows clear that the NDC is not giving chance to any play. We are really serious on the ground. And we are going to continue the principio efficientum because we believe that the tenets of governance depend on discipline. And that is why from the beginning, when you started inviting me into this studio, I was telling you that the people running the economy must be disciplined enough to be able to discipline the system. If there is no discipline in the system will take us to negative. And you are seeing the reflection already.
Right.
I go. GDP growth, real GDP, between January to June 2024, MPP, is 3.1%.
Right.
Year on year. And then you realize that the current government, NDC, my government, chalk 5.3%. Just that period. Calculate the difference. And remarkably, you'll be surprised that there's a significant recovery. So when I use my hand this way, then you know that we have chalk success. When I use my hand this way, then you know that the indicators are going down. Inflation rates, MPP time, 42.5%.
January. 33.9 in June. The same period we are in now. NDC chalked 23%. Even it's going down. And in May, we chalked 18.4%.
Right.
Inflation is what? Moreover, watch my hands.
It's going down.
Down. There's a decline.
It's trending in the positive.
Very sustainable.
Right.
Exchange rate, CD to dollar. MPP time. It went up to 16. But what can you see today? He said it. The Honorable said it.
Yeah.
It's 10.3. As for the black market, he doesn't want to talk about it. I'm very happy that he has appreciated it. That's a strong economic recovery. Moro. Going on, our gross reserve, international reserve, 4.5 billion January to June 2024, MPP time. We got it. Within a short period of time, we were able to build a reserve to $6.8 billion. Improve forest reserve. That is the remarkability of the system we have created. Debt to GDP ratio, MPP time, 72 to 75%. We reduce it to the remarkable benchmark of 60%. As the investor confident that Honorable is also talking about, my colleague from Accra University,
Accra Technical University, yes.
You could see that the confidence we are talking about, the investor confidence we are talking about, is not built on math. These are real figures. They're here. Better debt sustainability. That is the remark we are getting now. And like I said, we have translated the vote that Ghanaians have given us into pure discipline, fiscal discipline of the economy. That is what we are doing. The spirit that Ghanaians have given us, we are using it to stabilize the economy. Before I go on, let me tell you, accountants used to say that past misstatement is strong indication of future misstatement. Past misstatement is strong indication of future misstatement. Because if you make mistake in a figure, when you are calculating, you are making a statement of account, it will trail through to the future.
Yeah.
Honorable was saying they should have releases and do this and that and that and that. That he's begging the finance minister. When you have a rot, you inherited a rot from a government that recklessly borrowed. You need to put the pillars and measure and see where the problem is. And that is what my brother, Honorable Atu Fosun, is doing with the Bank of Ghana. The governor of Bank of Ghana, Johnson Esiama, Dr. Johnson Esiama. That is exactly what we are doing. And we will never release monies to go into the system when we don't know that we are going to do due diligence for saving the public purse. We are the real public purse savers. You see, the interesting thing that the gentleman was saying is that the Fitch credit rating is here. When MPP was in power, it was C plus. The C's, there are 3. And the plus is added. It's serious. It's serious. But Ghana has been brought to a stabilized ground. In economic, we call it equilibrium. We are in equilibrium. Now we have set the base. We are going to push Ghana and get a plus, A plus. We will get A and get a plus. Because the economic think tanks are here. And seriously, we are here. I'm not far from you. I am the party, and I'm telling you that I'm not far from you.
Right.
So we are going to maintain that level. It will be sustainable. And what are we saying here? Fitch, Moody's, and other rating agencies internationally will continue to praise us, and investors will come more, and then we'll increase the 24-hour economy. The energy sector is going to be increased. We are already building a system that is untouchable. NDC is back in spirit. Interest services ratio, MPP time, 37 to 40% of revenue was what I mean. That is that they were not taking care of the economy. But NDC, we have been able to reduce it so that we pay our interest, we pay this, so that we don't have problem. That is why the investors are interested. You see, airport now is full. They are coming. More will come. And I'm saying that they should come because the country is safe. Improve debt servicing efficiency. That is what I told you in Latin, that principio efficientum. You know, it is clear that we are disciplining ourselves. Ghanaians, take time for us. We'll set the economy properly. Fiscal deficit, MPP time, 5.5% to GDP. But what do? NDC, because of the fiscal discipline and the nature we have brought, the boot-to-boot scale, it brought it down to 3.6%. And narrower fiscal deficit. Check it. Today, me and you, they left us, but with me and you, we are here. Unemployment rate, 3.1%. Youth employment, 21%. MPP time. He's saying that we are not doing anything about it. Let me tell you, we have reduced it. We have stabilized and reduced it, 3.0%. IMF program, the status of IMF program, the way we borrow money and all the rest. Staff level agreement reached. We have NPP time. It's a slowed down. But full compliance underway. Reviews successful. Dialogue, engagement, opening. The last time I made the discussion of the figures in 2023, 2022, I made it clear that the Ministry of Finance then, headed by Ken Ofori-Atta, were distorting the figures of the economy. People didn't believe it. Today, it's clear. That is why we are saying NDC time now, you realize that full compliance underway, reviews very successful, negotiation.
Okay.
Greater policy credibility. The policies we have brought, we are fulfilling the education, we are fulfilling them. Energy sector, we are fulfilling it. The recoveries, we have, Attorney General is doing well. All the sectors, everybody, communication, you realize that every appointee is performing creditably. And we'll continue.
Okay.
I don't want to go on and go on.
Yeah.
This briefly tells you that the NDC boot-to-boot phenomena is playing in a very nice
It's in full gear.
In the full gear. If principio efficientum.
Dr. Kweku Kata is a chartered economist and also a member of the NDC's communications team. I want to thank you very much for your time. Dr. Kweku Kata, and I appreciate your time very much. I also want to say a big thanks to Isaac Nyakombuama, who is the Honorable Member of Parliament for the people of Efia constituency. I also want to say a big thanks to Daniel Osabute, who is a senior lecturer at Accra Technical University. And unfortunately, so we also had Professor Edu Jemfi, who is a political historian with a KNUST, what we call NUST. My name is Audu Moro. Thanks for watching. I was going to say good morning, Ghana. Thanks for watching Inside Pages. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Brands manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Tucked between the vibrant energy of Accra and the scenic charm of the Kwabena Hills, our gated community offers the perfect blend of tranquility and accessibility. Welcome to Rehoboth Knightsbridge, where nature meets opportunity. Secure your future with fully serviced plots with well-tarred roads, reliable drainage systems, electricity, and water. Build your dream home in a community that cares for your well-being and safety. Indulge in premium amenities that redefine luxury living: a swimming pool, tennis court, basketball court, sauna and steam in the iconic shopping mall, all within reach. It's more than just a space. It's your sanctuary in the city. Wake up to mountain views, take a jog under palm-lined paths, and experience the perfect balance of city access and natural beauty. Starting at just 450,000 cedis with flexible payment plans. Visit www.rehobothpropertiesgh.com or call or WhatsApp 024-476-4499 or 020-495-0810. Rehoboth Properties, quality housing for all.
MGL Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered.